Superhero costumes show off their awesome muscles and shapely bodies.
Nice outfit.
Thank you.
But for the actors who wear them, they're anything but cool. In fact, they might be quite a painful experience.
It looks amazing, it feels terrible.
Great power comes with painful costumes. Today, it's about the unavoidable pain of being a superhero. The first rule of superhero costumes is tightness. Sometimes it's so tight that you can't tell if it's the body or the clothes. The costumes are made to fit the actor's body in the tightest possible way, to keep the design as flattering as possible and not wrinkle at any point. Actresses cast in the superhero movies often get asked this kind of questions.
How much weight have you lost to get into this shape right now?
My goodness, how much weight?
I'm not saying you needed to lose weight.
Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman, said the first day she tried on the costume, it was so tight she couldn't even breathe.
That I didn't say anything about the fact that it was so tight and I literally could not breathe. So I was just trying to get myself together,
They made it
all
too
together.
small.
It was so small,
Yeah.
but I didn't say anything because
Pervert.
I was just so...
Of course, each character's suit will have a different material and design, but you can easily think of it as a wetsuit for diving, just a lot cooler. In the past, they've been made of spandex, leather, or rubber, but nowadays, they're mostly made of cotton with good elasticity. However, we don't want a large zipper line to be visible on a superhero costume, so using the thinnest, shortest, and smallest zipper possible to be hidden from view.
Again, I asked for a zip and I didn't get one. Do you have a zip?
Yeah, sort of.
The zipper Tom Holland is referring to here is probably a zipper for the bathroom. Can you imagine a zipper in the middle of the Spider-Man's costume? It's almost impossible to put it on and take it off by the actor alone. Because it doesn't have a zipper in the front or back as we usually think of it, it's been known to take 3 to 4 person to help getting in and out of the costume.
How do you fit into that suit?
It takes 3 of us.
Another problem with tight costume is heat and sweat, since they offer almost no ventilation. Some of the thicker suits, like Vision's as you see now, have internal water coolers to circulate cold water during breaks to help remove heat, just like a refrigerator. But most thin bodysuit type costumes don't have this kind of luxury, so it's a challenge to shoot for hours on end in a full body suit in the middle of hot summer.
There used to be these fans. I remember them bragging about they added in these fans that you could click and it would supposedly cool me down. They worked once.
Especially if it's skin tight and thin, can't even wear underwear in the costume. Most characters who wear very tight costumes don't wear underwear because it's not the best picture with underwear lines on mighty superheroes.
Do they say, and you can leave your pants on? Or do they say, you should really slip your underwear off?
They just don't want to see, like, box of brief lines.
Scarlett Johansson, who plays Black Widow, reportedly couldn't wear anything under her tight suit while filming. But maybe someone has different solution.
I'm in a thong in my one. Yeah, I love it.
I didn't even ask you, Tom.
To be a superhero who saves the planet, you have to give up some of the simplest things in life. Simply going to the restroom becomes a mission, can't use cell phone if the suit have attached gloves, even eating simple food or drinking water can be challenging. So the Spider-Man suit is designed with a detachable eye parts and a tube into that area to drink water, even though it's not something we'd expect from a superhero.
There's a hole underneath the eye socket where we used to be able to feed a tube down and I could drink without taking the suit off because it takes a lot of time.
Deadpool, who wears a mask over his entire face, also has a mask with a separate eye parts. That's better for a superhero who wears a suit. It's much worse when you have to do a full body makeup like this. In the case of Vision, who only had to do makeup above the neckline, it took about an hour and a half. That's kind of very short comparing to others. For Nebula, who had to put silicone parts and airbrushed almost her entire body, it took an average of 4 hours. In the case of Drex, it took nearly 4 hours in the first installment of Guardians of the Galaxy. But in second, it took only about 2 hours, thanks to the new makeup process. Deadpool's distorted skin was also created with practical makeup rather than CG. The process of bonding the silicone skin and finishing it with paint reportedly took 3 hours for just the face and 8 hours for the entire body. The good news is that he didn't shoot many of these scenes. Although not a superhero movie, the makeup process was so painful for an actor that he refused shooting the film. And that was Jim Carrey, who played the Grinch. Mask of Grinch, covering the entire face, was individually bonded together layer by layer, painted over the joints one by one, and then glue the fur and hair on top of the mask all by hand before each and every take. All of this process was done by a single specialist. It took over 8 hours to make up only the face. When Jim Carrey announced his strike, the crew immediately brought in several additional specialists to cut the 8-hour makeup time by more than half, and even hired a specialist to help him withstand the long hours of makeup.
To hire a gentleman who is trained to teach CIA operatives how to endure torture. And so,
one of the most impressive and most painful of these full-body costumes is Mystique from the X-Men.
What's the matter, baby? You don't think I look pretty like this?
While most superhero characters have some sort of costume at least covering some parts of body, but Mystique has no clothing at all. Played by Jennifer Lawrence, Mystique's blue skin is made with sheets of blue latex stretched over her entire body and airbrushed on top. The process is the same way as the original X-Men in 2000. The first step is to glue the latex sheets, which are separated into several pieces, one by one over the entire body. This latex is incredibly thin, so if a small air bubble in it, it can be seen right there on camera. So have to lift it up and down a lot of times to make sure there's no air bubbles. And then the edges have to be glued down one by one. Blue airbrush is used to color to cover on the non-latex areas and joints. If it's applied a thick coat of paint at once, it will run. So airbrushed a very thin coat, let it dry, and repeat the process 3 or 4 times at least. Once all the basics are done, finishing with 4 to 5 more airbrush coats of different textures and colors for each body part. All of this takes place with 6 specialists working simultaneously, but still takes a total of 7 hours. Jennifer Lawrence basically stands for the entire 7 hours of her makeover, because the airbrush that is applied to the skin can be erased by rubbing or touching it. Of course, as the shoot progresses, she still needs additional makeup, gluing pieces that fall off, and painting over areas that have changed color. Fortunately, Jennifer Lawrence's last appearance in X-Men Dark Phoenix in 2019, Mystique never had a full-body transformation, so instead of a full-body costume, she wears skin-tight costumes for the first time. And for most of the shoot, she wore makeup only on her face.
Yeah, turns out they never had to do 8 hours of full-blown body paint ever.
Oh.
This makes me think that if superheroes actually existed in the real world, they'd have to choose everyday outfits that are just as easy to put on and take off. Because function trumps fashion.